Hello everyone, this is JHancho, kicking off the third installment of the Gnial Stalker into Void Ray PvT strategy. With me is Gnial, but he's not going to be on the playing field, no. We're going to be watching Hat versus Minty Fresh on Desert Oasis. And Gnial, what's the deal, man? You gave your strategy to everybody, it seems.
Oh, well, the whole reason I did the strategy, like I said before, was to prove my friends wrong. So, although everybody's going to see my build now, everybody also gets to see just how wrong they were.
Nobody's going to be your friend after this, man, especially all the Terran players that are suffering. But Hat is going to be doing a slightly modified version of your strategy, and it's kind of weird. This map is going to be similar to that of the Scrap Station loss we just watched, in that the rush distance is very, very, very long.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder how that's going to play a role in this game, as Minty Fresh has a lot more time to prepare than Talik did on Lost Temple.
Yeah, absolutely. With the long rush instances like this, I prefer not to do the dual Stalker opening that we're going to see Hat do here. I much prefer to go for a faster Void Ray, just because you can exploit that short air distance and you don't have to worry about that long rush distance. But as you'll see here, the Terran will not necessarily be expecting a rush from that far, that early, especially if they scout that the gateways have gone down in your base. So we get to see some kind of neat stuff here happen here.
And both players seemingly playing normal, although we'll see that second gateway go down very soon for Hat. And as a random player, I don't have the best feel for Protoss, but that usually sends up some kind of, oh my goodness, I'm getting rushed kind of flags. Will that cause a little bit more of some, unit production from Minty Fresh here, or do you think that it'll just kind of live and let live?
Yeah, you would assume so. I mean, if the Protoss goes 2 gateways, it means that his tech is going to be slightly slowed because that cyber core is going to be a little bit later. So you feel comfortable, you're safe building a few extra units and still being able to match him in your regular tech pattern. So I think the general strategy for any race, if they see their opponent 2 gate, is to try to go for that safer build.
And Hat, getting his gateway a little bit before his cyber core warps in, so there's not that wonderful moment where everything is going at once, although the pylon, the cyber core coming in at once. And here we see the wonderful dual chrono boost going off. It looks so pretty. And he's continuing to build probes, which of course is a wonderful, wonderful thing you can do to ensure you're on par economically with this non-orbital command that I'm staring at and wondering why it is not, in fact, an orbital command.
Yeah.
But Minty Fresh getting a lot of Marines, so hopefully that'll keep him on par.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed in this is that he got his 2 Stalkers later than I usually do. He got a whole bunch more probes out. He put down his second gateway a bit later. And it just goes to show how effective Stalkers are against Marines. Because we're going to see that, I mean, he's not going to do anything phenomenal here, but the fact that you can get 2 Stalkers out this late and not, like, lose them immediately is just really indicative of that. And one thing that if you haven't noticed yet, we've got a probe hidden in the bottom of the Terran base.
Indeed we do.
It's kind of funny. I like to get that probe in there really early to try to delay a tech lab or delay the barracks or do whatever I can with it, just because that early timing is so important in most games. But he has opted to hide that probe in the bottom of the base, so we'll see how that unfolds.
I can't blame him. I mean, anytime you get a free scout or potentially, a free builder in a case of a forward proxy pylon, it's certainly a help. And
so we just, sorry, just to take you away. We just got to see how effective Stalkers are. The fact that they could waltz in this late, walk up the ramp, and kill one of the 6 Marines guarding there, and then walk away essentially unhurt.
A little bit of hit point damage, but still
a little bit of hit point damage. Exactly.
But now that the Marauder's out, that's kind of a different story. Has a little bit more hit point damage for a different Stalker.
Yeah, he has the hit point damage or sorry, the Marauders do a lot of damage to Stalkers, but they also have the range equal to the Stalkers.
And
so
they're, of course, cheaper than the Stalker. I'm sure come out faster than the Stalker, because, of course, Terran is imbalanced. But we do have a proxy pylon in the bottom of in the bottom of Minty Fresh's base, so we could be seeing some interesting play that way. We also have a Void Ray on the way. And a curious case of a missing Zealot moving around doing the rush distance dance. But very, very balanced force here for Minty Fresh. I'm kind of curious to see exactly how that'll work out, because I don't really see this really being effective because of the number of Marauders and the number of Marines counted the Void Ray. Although I've been proven wrong before.
Now, one feature of this map, which actually makes these Void Rays and Stalkers extremely effective, is I'm not sure if it gets exploited in this, but there's that cliff behind the minerals. You can perch your Stalkers there, you can perch your Void Ray there, and all of a sudden you can just like rain fire down upon them. You can take advantage of that slow, the low marine range, all that kind of stuff.
So a lot of things going on right now. Hat pushing up the ramp, making a supply depot burn down, but luckily before Minty Fresh puts an SCV on it right there. Zealots from the proxy pylon going to be moving in. Now the Void Ray is fully charged, second Void Ray up. Now the Stalkers are back on the ramp, with this Zealot just kind of bouncing around again. Zealot
I really like this Zealot choice.
It's chaos, everything is happening all at once.
I think that Zealot choice is very good to get in the base there, because they do take longer to kill off against a Marauder force, so they can just stir stuff up for that much longer. Never mind that they're cheaper.
Oh yeah, and now Minty Fresh saying,
His mind was blown.
Yeah, mine was too. I just kind of like lost track of everything that was happening. And I think it's a function of how well you wrote your article for everybody to follow.
Well, thank you. Well, one thing that I'd like to point out is you might look at this and be like, oh, well, the only reason this works so well is because you got that proxy pylon in there, right? Well, maybe. Well, one thing you could do with the exact same effect and with the exact same timing as happened in this build, you can build your pylon below the cliff later on. And then you can bring your first Void Ray as it's coming in to attack. You can scout that high ground and just warp your Zealots up on the high ground anyways. So there's all kinds of little tips and tricks and tactics you can do on maps like this or Metalopolis that exploit the big wide cliffs all around and that allow your Void Rays to give that vision. So
that's
pretty neat.
You know, we already see that, you know, Hat put a little bit of a nice touch on here, getting the proxy Zealots in there.
Definitely.
And, you know, one question I have is, you know, if you're watching a tournament, you know, one of the maybe the HCH2 or something similar like that, and you see Huck Tester or White Rod doing this, will you smile just a little bit?
I will. I'll probably assume that they came up with this completely on their own, though. I doubt they're reading my thread on Team Liquid, but I'm still going to feel a little bit happy.
Of course. As we've seen, it works for a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. There's threads, or there's comments all over that thread you started saying how well it worked, how he got to, you know, diamond with this strategy against Terran and stuff like that. It's going to be countered in the future by Terrans. They're going to expect something like this. And
they already are starting to expect it. Well, maybe it's just because enough people have read my article, but I joined games now, and they recognize me right off the bat and just build lots of Marines and get past Vikings and build bunkers everywhere. So it's like, oh, I have to move on.
All you have to do is DT rush and they're screwed, right?
Oh, well, there we go. Maybe that's the next step for me.
Stalker harass into DTs, make them burn those scans on their wall as you march a Void Ray into their back. Who knows?
Oh, definitely.
But it was a lot of fun checking out this replay as my entire screen just kind of moved all over the place trying to get a hold of all the action that was happening at once. And some of the transitions that people have been talking about we'll get into in a random replay that I'm going to load up in a little bit, but some of the common ones seem to be carriers. We'll get to that in a little bit. So thank you again, Gnial, for showing up and sharing your insight into the build you popularized.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
My pleasure. and the pleasure of everyone that has beaten a Terran and sucked his tears instead of his Zergs. So, all right, thank you very much.